Commander Samantha Blackwell stood frozen on the bridge of her ship as she watched the colony of New Eden burn. The massive Vex-3 warship fired again, and the entire southern continent vanished in a flash of blinding light. She had never seen a weapon with such power in her 20 years of service. The crew of the USS Valiant sat in stunned silence. No one spoke. No one could find words for what they were seeing. New Eden had been home to over 5 million humans just moments ago. Now it was just another conquest for the alien armada that had appeared at the edge of human space. 3 weeks ago, Lieutenant Kate Morrison broke the silence. Her voice was barely a whisper. She was young for her rank, only 27, but her tactical mind was unmatched in the fleet commander. "I think I see a pattern." Samantha moved to Kate's station. "What do you mean?" The tactical officer pointed to her screen. "See this energy spike before they fire? The gravitational sensors go crazy. Then 3 seconds later the beam hits. It's the same every time. Something in the weapon has to power up first." Samantha studied the readings. It wasn't much, but it was the first useful information they had gathered about the enemy weapon since the attacks began. "Kate, I want you to record everything. The energy readings, the firing sequence, everything. No detail is too small." The communication panel lit up. Admiral Olivia Grant was calling from Arcturus Station. Samantha accepted the transmission. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. Her gray hair was messy and dark circles hung under her eyes. She hadn't slept in days. Status report. Commander Grant demanded. "New Eden is gone. Admiral, the colony, the defense fleet, everything. They used the weapon again. We recorded some data this time." Grant's expression remained hard, but Samantha could see the pain in her eyes. "That's 15 colonies in 3 weeks. More than 30 million dead. Make your way to Arcturus immediately." "We need that." "Data, yes, Admiral," Samantha replied. "What about survivors?" "There are no survivors," Grant said. The words hung heavy in the air. "There never are." The transmission ended. Samantha turned to her navigation officer. "Plot a course to Arcturus maximum speed." Kate approached her commander. "I think I found something else. The weapon. It's not just destroying matter, it's unmaking it at the atomic level. Nothing is left behind. No debris, no radiation, nothing. The laws of physics say that's impossible." Samantha watched as New Eden continued to break. Apart in the distance, nothing was impossible anymore. The universe had just become a much darker place. 2 days later, the Valiant arrived at Arcturus Station, the largest human military base outside of Sol system. Arcturus had become the unofficial headquarters for what remained of the human defense force. Dozens of warships surrounded the massive station. The last fleet humanity had Samantha and Kate made their way to the command center. Admiral Grant was waiting along with the captains of other surviving ships and several scientists. The largest screen showed a map of human space with red marks indicating destroyed colonies. The map had more red than blue now. "We call it the Void Ripper," said Dr. Allison Wright. The lead scientist was tall with short brown hair and tired eyes. Her hands moved quickly over her tablet as she brought up the data from the Valiant. "Based on your readings, Commander, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. It creates a quantum field that literally unravels. Atomic bonds matter doesn't just break apart. It ceases to exist. Can we stop it?" asked Captain Diane Harper of the frigate USS Defiant. She was a veteran of the Proxima War, her face bearing the scars of past battles. "Not with our current technology," Dr. Wright admitted. "The energy required to generate a shield against this would be beyond our capabilities. The Vex-3 technology is centuries ahead of ours." The room fell silent. Admiral Grant spoke. "What about a counterattack? Hit them before they can charge the weapon." Kate cleared her throat. "Impossible, Admiral. The main weapon is protected by a fleet of smaller ships. Their point defense systems would destroy any missile long before it reached the target." A transmission interrupted the meeting. "Admiral, we just lost contact with Proxima Centauri." A young communications officer looked terrified. "The Vex-3 fleet has been detected on approach to the colony." Proxima Centauri was home to over 50 million people, the closest human settlement to Earth. Samantha felt her heart sink. They were accelerating their attacks. Grant turned to the assembled officers and scientists. We need options. People, real options, or humanity becomes just another extinct species. Samantha stood. What if we studied the weapon more closely? Got close enough to see how it works. Kate noticed a pattern in its firing cycle. Maybe there's a weakness we haven't found yet. It's suicide, Admiral Grant said. But she didn't dismiss the idea. What did you have in mind? I want to take a small team close enough to gather more data, Samantha said. We use stealth technology, stay hidden among debris fields. We observe, we record, and we find a way to stop it. The Admiral looked around the room. No one offered a better plan. Very well, Commander Blackwell. You have 48 hours to prepare. Then you take your team to the Proxima system. If the colony still exists, try to evacuate who you can. If not, gather whatever intelligence you can about this void. Ripper, as the meeting ended, Kate approached Samantha. You know this is probably a one-way mission, right? Samantha nodded. Yes, but what choice do we have? Either we find a way to stop this weapon or humanity dies. I prefer the option where we at least try to survive. Engineer Tina. Reeves joined them. I heard about your mission. And Tina was known for solving problems others thought impossible. Her hands were always stained with engine grease and her mind was always working on 3 problems at once. Good, Samantha said, because I need someone who can think outside normal parameters. We leave in 48 hours. Get whatever equipment you need. As they prepared to depart, the communication system throughout the station broadcast an emergency message. All personnel, prepare for possible evacuation. Vexry fleet detected at the edge of the system. They were out of time. The enemy had found Arcturus. The evacuation of Arcturus station happened in controlled chaos. Warships formed a protective ring around civilian transports as they jumped to safety. Samantha and her team had no time for their planned research mission. Instead, they found themselves in a desperate battle for survival aboard the USS Defiant. Captain Diane Harper watched as the massive Vexry flagship emerged from lightspeed. The alien vessel dwarfed even the largest human battleships. Its strange geometry seemed to hurt the eyes when viewed directly, almost as if it existed partially in another dimension. All ships' defensive positions, Harper ordered. Protect the civilian transports at all costs. The Defiant was not a large ship, a frigate designed for speed and maneuverability, rather than heavy combat. But what it lacked in size it made up for in the skill of its crew. Harper had handpicked every officer aboard navigator. Ellie Simmons plotted evasive courses with unmatched precision. Communications specialist Penny Daniels monitored enemy transmissions, looking for any tactical advantage they could find. The first wave of smaller Vexry attack craft swarmed toward the human fleet. Laser fire lit up space as point defense systems tried to keep them at bay. Samantha Blackwell found herself aboard the Defiant when the attack began. There was no time to return to her own vessel. She stood behind Captain Harper, watching the tactical display with growing dread. The main Vexry ship is moving into firing position. Kate Morrison warned she had transferred to the Defiant to continue her analysis of the Void Ripper. The familiar energy spike appeared on her sensors. They're charging. The weapon Harper turned to her crew. Evasive maneuvers. Maximum thrust. The Defiant shot forward, engines screaming as Simmons pushed them beyond safety limits. The ship shuddered under the strain. 3 Vexry fighters moved to intercept. The Defiant's guns blazed, destroying 2, but the 3rd scored a hit on their port side damage report. Harper demanded hull breach on deck 3. Engineer Tina Reeves replied from her station. Sealing now, engines at 115% capacity. They won't last long at this output. On the main view screen, the Void Ripper began to glow with unnatural light. The same sickly purple hue that had been the last thing seen by inhabitants of 15 human colonies. Incoming transmission from Admiral Grant Daniels announced. Put her through, Harper ordered. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. Captain Harper, so, the civilian transports need 5 more minutes to complete their jumps. You need to buy us that time. Harper's expression remained calm, despite the impossible task. "We'll do what we can, Admiral." The transmission ended. Harper turned to Samantha Blackwell. "Your team has studied this weapon more than anyone else. How do we stop it? We can't," Samantha said. "Not directly. But maybe we can distract them. Change their target." Kate looked up from her station. "The weapon takes nearly 60 seconds to fully charge. Once they begin, they can't easily switch targets." Harper nodded. "That's something. What if we give them a more tempting target than the civilian ships?" She turned to her tactical officer. "Target their smaller vessels. Focus fire. I want them angry at us, not the transports." The Defiant surged forward, guns blazing. A Vexry cruiser exploded under the concentrated fire. The alien flagship adjusted its position, turning the Void Ripper toward the annoying human frigate that dared to attack. "That's it," Harper said. "They're taking the bait." The energy readings on Kate's display continued to climb. The Void Ripper was almost fully charged. The strange purple glow intensified. "Captain, they'll fire in 20 seconds. Kate warned. "We can't survive a direct hit, I know," Harper replied. "Simmons, plot a course through that debris field. We need cover." The young navigator's hands moved quickly across her controls. "Course plotted, Captain. But I don't think the debris will provide much protection. It's not meant to." Harper said it's meant to confuse their targeting systems. The Defiant dove into the floating wreckage of destroyed ships. Metal fragments bounced off the hull shields, flaring with each impact. The Vexry weapon discharged its deadly beam, cutting through space where the Defiant had been moments before. The beam continued past them, striking an unoccupied section of Arcturus Station. The massive structure began to break apart, atoms unraveling in a cascade of unmaking. The Void Ripper's glow faded temporarily. It would need time to recharge. Engineer Reeves studied her instruments with intense focus. "Did you see that?" she asked Kate. "I think there was a fluctuation in their shield just before they fired." Kate replayed her sensor data. "You're right. Their defensive field inverted for 3.2 seconds during the final charging sequence. It must be a side effect of the weapon's power requirements." Samantha moved to their station. "Show me." The data confirmed it. The 3 seconds before, firing the Vexry flagship's otherwise impenetrable shields momentarily weakened. Captain Harper received a transmission from Admiral Grant. "The civilian ships are away. We're ordering all military vessels to retreat." Harper looked at Samantha and the others. "We found something, Admiral, a weakness in their weapon system. I'm sending the data now." "Excellent work," Captain Grant replied. "Now get your ship out of there." The Defiant turned away from the battle, its mission complete. But as they prepared to jump to lightspeed, Reeves noticed something on her scanner. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the station's reactor core. It's going critical." The remaining section of Arcturus Station was spinning out of control. Its main reactor, damaged by the Void Ripper. The station would explode, taking everything nearby with it. "How long?" Simmons asked. Reeves checked her calculations. "Less than 2 minutes. Get us clear." Harper ordered maximum thrust. The Defiant raced away from the doomed station. Behind them, the remaining human ships were also retreating. The Vexry continued their attack, unaware of the danger. When the station's reactor finally failed, the explosion was massive. The shockwave caught several Vexry ships, destroying them instantly. Even their flagship was damaged by the blast aboard the Defiant. The crew watched in silence as Arcturus Station, the greatest human military installation outside Sol, was reduced to scattered atoms. "Captain, I think I have something," Kate said. "It's about their weapon system. This data confirms my theory. The Void Ripper creates a quantum cascade effect, breaking the bonds between atoms, but the process requires so much energy that it temporarily weakens their own defenses." "What good does that do us?" Harper asked. "They still have enough firepower to destroy any ship that gets close enough to exploit that weakness." Tina Reeves looked thoughtful. "Maybe not. If we could modify a ship's engines to create a controlled quantum implosion on impact, it would create a feedback loop in their weapon system." "A suicide run," Harper said. Reeves nodded. "Yes, but it might be the only way to stop that weapon." Samantha stared at the tactical display showing the damaged but still operational Vexry flagship. I need to get this information to Earth. They need to know there's a way to fight back. Harper set course for Earth, the last human stronghold. If the Void Ripper couldn't be stopped, humanity would make its final stand there. As the Defiant jumped to light speed, no one spoke. They all understood what Reeves's plan meant. Someone would have to sacrifice everything to stop the unstoppable weapon. But who? Luna Base. The last military headquarters of humanity was buried deep beneath the lunar surface. Captain Diane Harper and her team from the Defiant stood before the assembled leaders of Earth. The once grand chamber felt small with so many important people crowded inside. Admiral Grant presided over the emergency council, her uniform crisp despite the dire circumstances. The Vexry fleet will reach Jupiter in 3 days, Admiral Grant said. 5 days to Mars, 7 to Earth. She looked at the grim faces around her. We have one chance to stop them. Engineer Tina Reeves stepped forward. The tall woman activated a holographic display showing detailed schematics of the Void Ripper based on their collected data. The weapon operates by creating a quantum cascade field that unravels atomic bonds, she explained. The process requires immense energy. During the final 3 seconds before firing, the weapon must transfer all power from defensive systems to the main emitter. This creates a momentary vulnerability, Dr. Allison Wright joined Reeves at the display. The scientist had been working non-stop since receiving the Defiant's data. The window is precisely 3.2 seconds, she confirmed. During that time, the ship's shields are at 15% strength. That might be enough for a specially modified vessel to breach their defenses. And then what? Asked General Patricia Wu, the highest-ranking officer of the Earth Defense Forces. Then we hit them with a quantum implosion, Reeves said. The frigate's engines would be modified to create a controlled implosion on impact. This would create a feedback loop in the Void Ripper's power system, theoretically destroying the weapon, and possibly the entire flagship. A suicide mission. General, Hussad. Reeves nodded. Yes, there is no remote detonation option. Someone has to pilot the ship directly into the target during that 3-second window. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Captain Harper stepped forward. The Defiant is the fastest ship we have left. Its engines are already partially modified after our escape from Arcturus. My crew and I volunteer for this mission. Admiral Grant studied Harper's face. You understand what you're proposing? Captain. Yes, Admiral Harper, replied. We all do. She gestured to her crew standing behind her. Lieutenant Kate Morrison spoke. We've studied this weapon more than anyone. We know its patterns, its weaknesses. No other crew has a better chance of success. Navigator Ellie Simmons moved next to Harper. I have a daughter on Earth, Admiral, she said quietly. A little girl named Maya. She just turned 3 last month. If we don't stop this weapon, there won't be an Earth for her to grow up on. Communications specialist. Penny Daniels stepped forward. My wife commands the destroyer. Hermes, she said. She's part of the Mars Defense Fleet. I volunteered to ensure she and everyone else has a future. Samantha Blackwell joined them. This is our best chance, Admiral. Possibly our only chance. The Admiral looked at the faces of these volunteers. None of them were over 35 years of potential life sacrificed for the chance to save billions. How long will the modifications take? She finally asked. Dr. Wright consulted her tablet. 72 hours. With a full engineering team that puts completion, just as the Vexry reach Jupiter. General Wu noted perfect timing if we want to intercept them before they reach Mars. Then we have a plan. Admiral Grant said, Captain Harper, your mission is approved. You have 72 hours to prepare. The Defiant will intercept the Vexry flagship and destroy the Void Ripper A's. The meeting ended. Tina Reeves pulled Harper aside. I've been doing more calculations, she said. I think I can improve our chances. The Void Ripper seems to draw power from subspace. I can modify our engines to create a more powerful reaction, specifically tuned to their energy frequency. How much more powerful? Harper asked. Reeves' expression was grim enough to tear a hole in space-time. It might create a miniature black hole, Harper considered this dangerous, very Reeves admitted. But it might be our best shot at making sure that weapon is destroyed completely. Do it, Harper ordered. But keep this between us, the others have enough to worry about. The next 72 hours passed in a blur of activity. The Defiant was moved to a secure dock. Engineers worked around the clock modifying its engines. The regular matter-antimatter reactor was enhanced with experimental quantum accelerators, designed by Reeves. Each crew member prepared in their own way. Ellie Simmons recorded messages for her daughter, videos to be played on birthdays and special occasions throughout her life. Penny Daniels spoke with her wife one last time, careful never to reveal the true nature of her mission. Kate Morrison worked with Dr. Wright, fine-tuning their sensors to detect the exact moment when the Void Ripper's shields would be vulnerable. Captain Harper spent much of her time in the ship's armory cleaning, her personal sidearm an old habit from her days as a junior officer. The repetitive motion helped her think. Samantha found her there the night before launch. Harper looked up as she entered, still convinced this is our only option. Commander Samantha sat beside her. We've run every simulation possible, tried every alternative. Nothing else has even a 1% chance of success. This plan at least gives us 17%. Harper smiled grimly. Almost 1 in 5. Not bad odds for the end of the world. No, Samantha agreed. Not bad at all. The captain reassembled her weapon with practiced ease. You know, I never wanted to be a hero. She said, I just wanted to be a good officer. Do my job, protect my crew. You are a good officer, Samantha said. That's why your crew is following you on this mission? They believe in you? Harper nodded. Thank you for that. Means a lot coming from you. The next morning, the Defiant prepared for launch, its modified engines humming with barely contained power. The ship looked the same from the outside, but inside it had been transformed into the deadliest weapon humanity had ever created. Admiral Grant addressed the crew one final time through a secure channel. Your mission is clear. Intercept the Vexry flagship at Jupiter. Strike the Void Ripper during its vulnerable phase. If you succeed, humanity has a future. If you fail, we won't fail. Admiral Harper assured her. Grant nodded. The Admiral's expression softened briefly. Good hunting, Captain. May your aim be true. The Defiant departed Luna Base on a course for Jupiter, its engines pushing it faster than any human ship had ever traveled. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person focused on their task. Each aware these were their final days. As Earth vanished behind them, Harper addressed her crew. This mission has a 17% chance of success, she said. That means it has an 83% chance of failure. But those are better odds than humanity has. If we do nothing, I'm proud to serve with each of you. The ship accelerated toward Jupiter, toward the approaching alien armada, toward humanity's last desperate hope. The massive gas giant Jupiter loomed before them, its swirling storms providing a dramatic backdrop for what was to come. The Defiant hid in the shadow of Ganymede, its engines cold, its systems running on minimal power. Only passive sensors remained, active scanning constantly for the approaching enemy fleet. On the bridge, Captain Diane Harper reviewed the final modifications with engineer Tina Reeves. The ship's quantum drives had been completely rebuilt. Their controlled detonation would create an explosion unlike anything humans had ever witnessed. The ship's AI, nicknamed Dorothy by the crew, calculated firing patterns and shield vulnerabilities. Its processing power dedicated to solving one problem: how to hit the Void Ripper during its 3-second window of vulnerability contacts. Navigator Ellie Simmons called out. Multiple signatures entering the system. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly as they moved across her console. Harper moved to the main viewport. The Vexry fleet emerged from lightspeed, its ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Unlike human vessels, which showed variations in design and purpose, each Vexry ship appeared identical to others of its class, almost as if they were printed, rather than built. Their flagship, however, was unique. Its massive form seemed to bend light around it. The housing for the Void Ripper protruded from its forward section like a malevolent eye. 5 hours until they reach optimal firing position for Earth. Dorothy announced, its synthetic voice emotionless. Penny Daniels monitored Vexry communications. Their language was impossible for humans to pronounce, but patterns had emerged. They're discussing their attack plan. She reported, 3 ships will move ahead to establish a forward position. The flagship will remain protected in the center of the fleet. Harper turned to Kate Morrison. Will they use the Void Ripper on Jupiter's moons? Morrison studied her readings. I don't think so, she replied. The weapon requires significant energy to recharge. They'll save it for Earth. Maximum psychological impact. Tina Reeves entered the bridge carrying a small device. It's our last addition to the plan, she said. A stealth field generator. It will mask our energy signature for 15 minutes. Once activated, they'll have difficulty tracking us. We should appear as space debris. Good, Harper said. That might get us close enough. She addressed the entire crew. Battle stations, everyone, final preparations. This is what we've trained for. The crew moved to their positions with practiced efficiency, each performing their duties despite knowing what awaited them at mission's end. Ellie Simmons calibrated the navigation systems to account for the smallest gravitational fluctuations. Penny Daniels prepared the final broadcast that would transmit their data back to Earth. Kate Morrison fine-tuned the sensors to detect the exact moment when the Void Ripper's shields would weaken. Harper watched them work, proud of their professionalism, their courage. She sat in the command chair and opened a ship-wide channel. This is the captain speaking. In 1 hour, we will begin our approach to the Vexry flagship. Our mission is clear. Our purpose absolute. We carry with us the hopes of every human being, every child, every parent, every person who calls Earth home. She paused, collecting her thoughts. I wish I could offer you some profound wisdom, some perfect words to capture the magnitude of what we're about to do. But the truth is simple. We are soldiers. We have a duty. We will not fail. Throughout the ship, crew members listened, some with tears in their eyes, others with resolute expressions, all understanding the sacrifice they were about to make. In the engine room, Tina Reeves made the final adjustments to her quantum implosion device. If her calculations were correct, the explosion would create a rupture in space-time itself, perhaps enough to destroy not just the Void Ripper, but the entire Vexry fleet. She whispered a quiet prayer to whatever gods might be listening in the bridge. Harper checked the time. 1 hour until we move. Anything else we need to address? Kate Morrison approached the captain, her tablet in hand. I've been analyzing their fleet movements. There's something strange. The smaller ships are forming a specific pattern around the flagship, almost like a defensive grid. Samantha Blackwell finished for her. Morrison nodded. Yes. How did you know? I've been studying it too, Samantha replied. They're creating layers of defensive ships, each positioned to intercept anything approaching the flagship from any angle. They know. The mood on the bridge darkened. They know we're coming, Harper said. Or at least they suspect we might try something. Does that change the plan? Ellie Simmons asked. Harper considered this carefully. No. The plan remains the same. We just need to be smarter about our approach. She turned to Reeves. How effective is your stealth technology? Reeves frowned. It will mask our energy signature, but not our physical presence. If they happen to look out a window, they'll still see us. Harper nodded. We need a distraction, something to occupy their attention while we approach. She thought for a moment. Ellie set a course for Callisto. The navigator looked confused. Callisto. But that's away from the Vexry fleet. I know, Harper said. Trust me. The Defiant moved silently away from Ganymede, its course taking it to Jupiter's outermost large moon. As they approached Callisto, Harper explained her plan. The moon's surface is rich in metallic compounds. If we detonate several torpedoes in the right locations, it will create a debris field. The resulting radiation signature will mask our approach. Kate Morrison ran the calculations. It could work. The explosion would scatter enough material to create significant sensor interference. Exactly, Harper said. And while they're trying to figure out what's happening, we slip past their defensive screen. The Defiant took position near Callisto. Navigator Simmons selected the optimal points for detonation. Remote triggers were attached to modified torpedoes and launched toward the moon. When they're in position, Harper ordered detonate. The explosions were precisely calculated, large enough to create the needed distraction, but not so large as to suggest an attack. Chunks of Callisto's surface blasted into space, creating a chaotic field of debris and radiation. The effect on the Vexry fleet was immediate. Several smaller ships broke, formation moving to investigate the unexpected event. Now Harper ordered activate stealth systems and set course directly for the flagship maximum speed. The Defiant's engines hummed to life, pushing the ship forward. The newly installed stealth field generator activated, masking its energy signature. The frigate accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet, disguised as just another piece of debris from the Callisto explosions. 15 minutes, Reeves warned. That's all the stealth field will last before burning out, Penny. Daniels monitored Vexry communications. They're confused by the Callisto event but suspicious. Some ships are conducting sweeps of the debris field on the main screen. The Vexry flagship grew larger, its alien architecture becoming more distinct. The housing for the Void Ripper glowed with a sickly purple light. 9 minutes to intercept, Simmons reported, her voice steady, despite the fear everyone felt. The Defiant continued its approach. A patrol craft passed within, kilometers, its sensors sweeping the nearby space. For a heart-stopping moment it paused, as if sensing something amiss. Then it continued on its predetermined route. 6 minutes, Kate Morrison announced, stealth field at 60% and declining. Harper took manual control of the ship. I'd like to pilot us in for the final approach, she said. If anyone objects, now is the time. No one spoke. The bridge crew exchanged glances, some nodding in understanding. The captain deserved this final duty. 4 minutes, Simmons said quietly. Dorothy, the ship's AI, analyzed the Void Ripper. Based on observed patterns, the weapon will cycle in approximately 3 minutes 40 seconds, she reported. Almost perfect timing, Harper said, as her hands moved across the controls, making minute adjustments to their approach. 3 minutes, Morrison reported, stealth field failing. The Defiant was now fully visible to Vexry sensors. Alarms blared throughout the ship as enemy vessels detected their presence. Evasive maneuvers, Harper ordered, but kept their course aimed directly at the flagship. Vexry fighters swarmed toward them. The Defiant's point defense systems activated, automatically destroying the closest attackers. But there were too many. Laser fire struck the ship's hull. Damage reports flooded in from multiple decks. 2 minutes, Simmons called out over the chaos. The Void Ripper began to glow brighter, its housing opening like the iris of a massive eye. The flagship turned, bringing the weapon to bear on the approaching human vessel. 1 minute, Dorothy announced. Weapon cycling has begun. Vulnerability window in 50 seconds. Harper pushed the engines beyond safety limits. The ship groaned under the strain. A Vexry beam struck their port side. Simmons' console exploded, throwing the navigator backward. Kate Morrison moved to take her place. 30 seconds, Morrison reported, targeting systems. Locked. Penny Daniels looked up. Final message away, broadcasting on all frequencies. 10 seconds, Harper looked at the faces of her crew one last time. Brave, determined, resolved. It has been an honor. She said. The Void Ripper reached full power, its purple glow illuminating the Defiant's bridge. The countdown reached 0. The alien's weapon became briefly vulnerable. The human frigate struck the Void Ripper at precisely the moment of vulnerability. The quantum implosion engines detonated, creating a chain reaction that tore through the alien superweapon. The last thing Captain Harper saw was a flash of light brighter than any sun. Admiral Olivia Grant stood in the Lunar Command Center, surrounded by officers and scientists. All eyes were fixed on the main display showing the Jupiter system. A new star seemed to have appeared near the gas giant. A brilliant point of light that outshone everything else. The quantum sensors are off the scale, Dr. Allison Wright reported, her voice filled with wonder. It's creating a ripple effect in space-time. The readings are like nothing we've ever seen. Did they succeed? Grant asked. The question everyone wanted answered. The light faded, gradually revealing the aftermath. Where the Vexry flagship had been, there was now empty space. The Void Ripper was gone. The surrounding alien ships drifted aimlessly, their formations broken, their coordinated movements ceased. Communications specialist Maria Foster adjusted her equipment. Incoming transmission from Mars Defense Fleet, she announced. They report the Vex-3 ships are withdrawing. Multiple vessels appear damaged. Some are simply drifting without Central Command. They seem disorganized. Grant allowed herself a small smile. They did it. They actually did it. The impossible mission had succeeded. The Void Ripper was destroyed. The Defiant and her crew had sacrificed themselves to save humanity. Victory. Celebrations were subdued. The price had been too high, too personal. The names of the Defiant's crew were already being added to the memorial wall, each one recognized for their ultimate sacrifice. 1 year later, Earth had begun to rebuild. The surviving colonies were re-established. New defense systems were created based on technology recovered from damaged Vex-3 vessels. The war was not over. The aliens still possessed a significant fleet, but without their superweapon, the conflict had become one. Humanity could fight on more equal terms. Dr. Wright stood before a gathering at Luna Base. Her research team had spent months analyzing the data transmitted by the Defiant in its final moments. The quantum implosion created by Engineer Reeves modified. Engines had done more than destroy the Void Ripper. It had created a brief rupture in the fabric of reality, she explained. Our understanding of quantum physics has advanced decades in just 1 year. Behind her, a memorial had been erected, a simple, black stone wall with the names of the Defiant's crew. Captain Harper's name at the top. The inscription read, "Simply because it was necessary. Ellie Simmons' daughter, now 4 years old, placed flowers beneath her mother's name. The child too young to fully understand what her mother had done, but old enough to know she was important, that she had done something brave. Captain Harper's sister watched over the girl, having adopted her after Ellie's death. Penny Daniels' wife stood nearby in her dress uniform. The captain of the destroyer, Hermes, had been promoted after the battle. She commanded the first ship equipped with new defensive systems based on Vex-3 technology. Her ship was patrolling the outer colonies, ensuring such an invasion could never happen again. Admiral Grant approached the memorial, her uniform adorned with new medals, symbols of a war that had nearly ended humanity. The Admiral touched the stone, running her fingers across the engraved names. "These men and women saved us all," she said quietly. "Not just those of us alive today, but all who will come after. All who will be born because humanity survived." The transmission sent by the Defiant in its final moments had contained more than just tactical data. It included personal messages from each crew member. Navigator Simmons had spoken to her daughter, telling the child how much she was loved. Communications specialist Daniels had said goodbye to her wife. Engineer Reeves had shared her breakthrough discoveries, ensuring her work would continue. Lieutenant Morrison had detailed everything she had learned about the enemy, hoping it would help those who fought after her. Captain Harper's message had been brief, simple, almost like she knew her actions would speak louder than any words could. "Humanity stands at the edge of extinction," she had said, "but while even one of us remains, there is hope. We are not dying today, not all of us. And those who survive will remember those who made it possible in orbit." Above Earth, construction had begun on a new type of vessel, the first of a class named Defiant. The ship incorporated everything learned from the sacrifice of its namesake. Its main weapon system based on a modified version of the quantum technology used by Tina Reeves. Humanity would never again be defenseless against such a threat. The Vex-3 had withdrawn to the edges of known space, their remaining ships regrouping, licking their wounds, but intelligence suggested they would return. Eventually, and when they did, humanity would be ready. Dr. Wright had made another discovery, one she shared only with Admiral Grant and the highest levels of Earth government. The quantum implosion had done more than destroy the Void Ripper. It had revealed something about the Vex-3, something fundamental. Their biology, their technology, everything about them was connected to the quantum realm in ways humans were only beginning to understand. "They aren't just using this technology," Wright had explained. "They are this technology. Their entire civilization is built around manipulating quantum states. It's why the Void Ripper was so important to them. It wasn't just a weapon. It was an expression of their very nature. This knowledge gave humanity an edge, a way to understand their enemy, that combined with the sacrifice of the Defiant gave them hope for the future. 3 years after the Battle of Jupiter, humanity had expanded outward again, reclaiming lost colonies, establishing new ones. The threat remained. The war continued, but the desperate days when extinction seemed inevitable were past. On the bridge of every human vessel that ventured into deep space, a small plaque commemorated the USS Defiant and its final mission. It bore the image of the ship and the words that had become a mantra for the human military. Their superweapon was unstoppable, until a human frigate rammed it in a secure facility on Luna Base. Scientists continued to study the quantum technology recovered from Vexri wreckage. Engineer Reeves' final calculations had opened new avenues of research possibilities that might one day allow humans to travel faster between stars, to generate more powerful energy sources, to create their own superweapons if needed. The sacrifice of the Defiant and her crew had given humanity more than survival. It had given them a future. Admiral Grant, now nearing retirement age, stood at the viewport of her office, watching Earth below. The blue planet seemed more precious now, more fragile. After coming so close to losing it, she thought of Harper and her crew, of their courage, their determination, their willingness to give everything so that others might live. A communication from the outer system interrupted her thoughts. The sensor network had detected something. A small group of ships moving toward human space, not Vexri. Their energy signatures were different, unknown. Grant ordered the fleet to defensive positions, then paused. No first contact protocols. This time we approach, with caution, with diplomacy. The lessons of the Vexri War had changed humanity, made them stronger, yes, but also wiser. The universe was vast, filled with species and civilizations humanity had yet to encounter. Some would be friends, others enemies, but humans would face them all with the same spirit that had driven the crew of the Defiant: courage, determination, and the will to survive against impossible odds. As new alien ships approached the solar system, they were met by a human fleet led by a vessel named Defiant the Seku. Its captain, a young woman who had been inspired by the story of Diane Harper and her crew. The legacy of the first Defiant lived on, its sacrifice remembered, its victory celebrated, its story told to each new generation of human explorers and defenders. Their superweapon was unstoppable until a human frigate rammed it, and in that moment everything changed.